True and welcome to another exciting day to our galaxy. And we are in the middle of a new territory takeover and or season, so to speak. And for our newest players, I recently made a video on how to get into the whole territory at all with the missions and everything. And today I once more want to talk about the most important territory takeover rules, because there are some things you really have to keep in mind when you're going for a territory the first time. But before I do this, I just want to say, if you're not a subscriber of my channel yet but do like my videos, then please do subscribe to my channel. And when you do, also click this little bell and all notifications so you will be notified when another video comes out. So let's have a look at the territories. The territories are here in the lower left corner of the galaxy. And the territories, the services and all the stuff I mentioned already in the videos, and today I really want to go into the takeovers themselves. And the main reason is that when you start taking over, so when this sheet is clean, when everything is blank and there are no colors in it, when a season starts, because there's always a reset of all the territories before the season starts, then you have to have a closer look at those markings here, because you see territories with one, I always call them stars, but it's more a diamond shape, but still a 1-star territory, 2-star territories and 3-star territories. And you always have to get started with one of those 1-star territories. And if you want to take part in a takeover, you have to pay to do that. So you have to collect isogen before. If you click on a territory and then on the top right there you see this green button with the flag, if you click on it, you see the details of the takeover. And where you see now abandoned zone and it's not your territory, then you can click that you want to take part, and then you have to pay. You will have to pay isogen depending on the level of the territory to take part in this takeover. And you always can see when you click this information button the time when the territory takeover takes place. Only at this scheduled time you can take over one of the territories. The rest of the time the owner has it or nobody has it. Only at this specific time you can take over a territory. And if you go for this without having a territory at all and go for a 1-star territory, then you have to collect points as soon as the takeover starts. So when the takeover starts and you pay for taking part in this takeover, every ship of your alliance that is in this system or in one of the systems, territories have 2 or 3 systems, they collect points just for being there. And ships that are on those capture nodes collect more points than ships that are just floating around in space. You can, by the way, go to this where we've just been by clicking on the main planet in this territory as well and click embassy, and then you see the same we've just seen. And on the bottom here there's a Takeover Rules info box as well. And there you see that every ship that's there collects points while it's there, and takeover points are calculated every minute. And in the end, the alliance with the highest points in that zone at the end of the takeover will be the owner of the takeover. You have to watch out with the takeover with the takeover nodes or capture nodes I've just shown you. If you put a ship on it before the takeover starts, you might have to refresh the node, because here they say that it will not grant points, but sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So as soon as it starts, if you've been on it before, refresh the node just to make sure that you are collecting points. And in the last third of a takeover, they have different times. We get to that later. all scoring is multiplied by 3. So even if you are in the lead for 2/3 of the takeover and people get complacent or lazy in the last third, you still can easily lose that takeover. So make sure that your people are really concentrated on that for the whole time. And that's the capture notes. Once again, I meant if you're on it before the takeover starts and you have paid for the takeover, then make sure that you refresh them. So all the ships that are in an active takeover are marked in violet, and make sure that this is the case. And so you have to, in general, you have to occupy all these capture nodes in both systems. In the alpha and beta system, for the 1-star and the 2-star systems, it's alpha and beta, and there are different numbers of those capture nodes, and you have to make sure, if you want to win, that your alliance occupies those nodes and that you have a lot of ships in the systems as well, so that you indeed collect more points than the other alliances that are taking part, because as many alliances as are able to can take part in this takeover. If an alliance does not have a territory, they can take part in any 1-star territory takeover that happens, and during a week there's a lot of those. There's on my Discord that I set up for this channel, there is a list of all the territories, and also a list of the services, which I have to update after they changed that now. But there's a list of all the territory times when they happen, and there are full days of 1-star territories, days of 2-star territories, and days of 3-star territory takeovers. And so an alliance that has enough isogen to pay for the takeovers can take part in several 1-star takeovers in one day until they have one. The second you have one of those territories, you can only attack connected territories next. Every alliance can have a maximum of 5 territories. You see that in your alliance territory overview if you have available zone slots, and that is decided by the level of your alliance. And you see that the number of zone slots are part of the level rewards, so to speak, not only alliance members or alliance help, but also the zone slots for the territory. And as soon as you have one, you can only take connected territories. That means that are connected with these warp lanes. Those little lines you see between certain systems are warp lanes. It's not enough to have a border, that's the broader lines between the territories, to have a border to another territory. You need to have those warp lane connections. And those are the places or the ways you can fly to that territory, the thin lines you see here. It's another help, by the way, talking about not rules, but tactics. Those are the only points where enemies can enter the system. So, for example, here in Rua Alpha, on 1 o'clock and on 9 o'clock, those are the warp lane entry points. So you will know from where enemies will come or can come if they will come into that system to fight in that takeover. Just very useful information if you are fighting in a takeover or defending your territory. And that it has to be connected continues for all your territories. So, for example, the purple one up here is our territory. We could not attack comms down here, for example, even if we easily could take that, but it's not directly connected with the border and the warp lane, because you need both. You need a direct border and a direct warp lane. We could go to Rua, for example, we could go to Aonat, but we could not go to Komst. And one thing, because we had some changes when we decided to go for that territory up there, you can see as one of these examples, SPC here, for example, cannot go for Ruhr because they have a broad border, but they do not have the warplane connection. And SPC are some nice guys, but we needed to move, and we went against them in several fights here. But that's just the game, and it was fair fights. We are in good contact, so we're not in a bad mood or whatever. But they helped me find out stuff for this video, for example, because they held Ruhr and Russia before. And there's another thing that's really important. If you lose one of your territories, for example, someone would take away Avanza from us now. So Otima and Korva, which belong to us, would be split up with another alliance in between. We would not lose any of those territories. And that's where SPC helped me to find that out for this video. We would not lose it, but they are not connected anymore with a border and a warplane. And that would mean we still could every week defend those territories. But, and that's not so nice from Scopely here, in none of the territories we could activate the services again after the next defense. Every time you have to defend your territory once a week on that scheduled day, when it's only possible to take one territory. That happens every week, of course. As you've seen with Otima, it's Wednesday at 10 UTC. And we could defend it and we would keep it, but after the defense we would have to activate the services again, which I've shown in the other video. That's why I'm really sticking to rules here. I'm not showing all the services now, but we could not activate them. And that is one of the important rules. If you have territories that are not connected anymore, you cannot activate services in any of your territories again. And that's why this abandoned territory button is important as well. Oh no, that's the wrong one, but we have an embassy here as well. So on the bottom right, the abandoned zone. So if you get into the position that someone cracks your connection of your territories, you will have to give up the lesser part of it with the less good services. You can see the services here on the left, because otherwise in your good territory you can't activate the services either. And so that's another important part of these rules. So always make sure you have territories that are connected with each other with a direct border and a warplane. And then once you have a 1-star territory, you can then go for a 2-star territory. If you we take one that we don't have. If you have this, and here we can click join takeover. That was what I meant earlier. There you see the rules. You see what we have to pay. For a 2-star, we would have to pay 2-star isogen and some progenitor cores. And there are the requirements for taking part as well. The one that can push the button must be Commodore or Admiral. And the zone needs to be connected to your territory again. So you don't need to have a 1-star territory. That's just the starting requirement. Every other territory you're going for can be 2-star, 3-star. It needs to be connected to your territory, and there must be an ongoing takeover. You must have an available zone slot, and it must be on your server. So during incursion, you will see that takeovers happen. We had our last territory, we had unfortunately always had a defense when incursion started right at the same time. And so of course the guys from the other server always came over to kill our people that are defending, but we just sent cloaked ships there, and only they were only there allowed while cloaked, and so the other server couldn't kill anyone, and we still could collect a few points, because of course no one of our server attacked us there during incursion. And but they can see that, but they cannot take that territory, of course, because it's not their server. And if we look at a 3-star territory, That is not ours, of course, to show that. There you see the rules as well if you click the Join Takeover. It must be connected. So once again, you see if you have a 1-star territory that is directly connected to a 3-star, you can take that. You do not have to have a 2-star before the 3-star. Always important is you must have 1 territory. So no matter what. So if you, for example, let's look at this. Someone would have here Zamaro, Bimaza, and Berto. Or let's put it differently. Someone has Zamaro and Bimaza and then loses Zamaro. Still can go against Brelin from Bimaza without having a 1-star territory anymore. It's just important to have an adjacent own territory already. You cannot go against a 2-star or a 3-star without owning any territory. You always have to start with a 1-star. But a 1-star is not a requirement later to ever go for any other territory. As long as you have 1 territory, you can take over any adjacent territory that is there. But you cannot go for a 2-star or a 3-star somewhere else in the galaxy, because for that you have to abandon all your zones in the other place, and then you don't have a territory that's adjacent to this. When you are moving on this map, for example, like we did, we have been that's where this yellow space was. There we have been before, and then we decided to go for where we are now. We had to abandon everything. That's why we had to start in Otima in this 1-star territory over again to go for the 2-star and the 3-star. We could not keep anything here. And so we couldn't go for the 2-star immediately or the 3-star. We had to start with the 1-star when we changed the place on the map. So the 1-star is always your first step into territory in the takeovers. After that, you always need to have 1 territory, no matter what size, to go for another adjacent one. It must not you must not always own a 1-star territory. That's another thing I wanted to clear up, because people, I know a lot of people that I've seen in discussions that didn't know that. So if, for example, SPA would be reduced to Bolari in the end, they still could go to for any other adjacent one for Barasa. I know for the people from my server, it's completely impossible because of the power of SPA and GSF. But it's just the theory here. And but they could go for Barasa even if they still only have Bolari. So the 1-star is not something you have to have the whole time, but it is the one you have to take first to take it from there. And always remember, must be adjacent territories that are also connected with a direct warp lane. The broad border is not enough, and I know I'm repeating myself, but that's one very important point a lot of people overlook and suddenly are surprised why doesn't it work. And so that's why I wanted to say that. But as I also said, you always can abandon territories if you want to move somewhere else. And you must watch out that you always have enough isogen and cores, whatever is required for the 2-star and 3-star. I didn't look at the 3-star, for example. Let's have a look at Barasa for the prices again. For the 3-star, yeah, no, it doesn't want to work properly. For the 3-star, you have to pay, of course, 3-star isogen, and yeah, let's try another. And you have to pay some cores there as well. Let's I know the good old error code 5 is back. I said we had some issues since last territory reset, and now, yeah, that's error code 5 again. But you will have to pay 3-star isogen and a number of cores, so you will always have to take care that you have what you need to pay with. If you want to see the overall inventory of your alliance, you know where the alliance inventory is, and there's not only the stuff for the star base, but it also shows your refined isogen and shows your progenitor cores, the diodes, the emitters, and the reactors, and those are the ones you need to pay for those takeovers. In the case of the 2-star and the 3-star territories, which of those you need, it will show you, and you can exchange always when needed. And error code 5 is getting more and more. But the good thing is we're almost at the end of the video, so we will get through it, I hope. Yeah, and suddenly all the markings are gone again. That's something that happened recently as well. A lot of times, say the update, the new arc didn't cause that many bugs this time. There was one bug, and that was repaired quite quickly. Those with the alliance member enemies, but the territory reset, the last one, why ever, caused many more bugs than the whole new arc and the new upgrade. But nevertheless, we got through what I wanted to tell you about the territory takeovers, and I hope that could give you some insight here. If you want to add something about the takeovers itself, I will not talk about our personal strategy here, of course, but please write it in the comments. And if you have questions in general or video requests, you know that I regularly read your comments. And if you want to see another video right now, the next one is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.